Hi everybody, my name is John Kreinbrink. I work at the Waite Park Archery Country location. Been there for a little over 11 years now. Today we're going to be talking about one of my 2022 bows. Behind me is the Mathews V3X 33. As you can see, it's in the granite color for the riser, which is a new color for this year. And then I went with the Sitka Sub Alpine limbs. Just kind of thought they would look good together. Colors match okay, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's going to look pretty sharp. One of the reasons I chose to have this as one of my bows this year was just the overall specs of the bow. It's got a long riser. I feel like it's going to point and hold on target fairly well. It's not going to be the fastest bow out there, but I've never been really a speed freak when it comes to bows anyways. I'd rather have something I can just shoot very accurately, hold stable. The 33-inch axle to axle with a little bit extra brace height that's on the V3X 33 just kind of fits my needs. So we're gonna get it built up today, show you what I am deciding to put on the bow and get it all built up, shoot a little bit, and we'll show you some specs and see how it turns out. All right, so we've taken a look at the bow that I am building up today. Now we're gonna look at some of the accessories that I'm choosing to put on. Cool thing about accessories with the bow, everyone can put on whatever they want, whatever's gonna work for their hunt, their style, whatever, right? For me, with the Mathews products, like the new V3X 33, which is what we're building today, or if you do the 29, or even some of the older ones, to me, one of the most useful, awesome products that's out there for that bow is their Silent Connect system. So they got a couple of knobs that attach inside of the limb pocket and allow you to either integrate a sling or like a bow rope for bringing it up and down from your tree stand. Absolutely phenomenal to have something that just is quick and easy to throw on there, carries the bow around really nicely, it's secure. To me, that's like a necessary product. If you're getting into that bow, the ease of use that they have for attaching and detaching those pieces is absolutely phenomenal. I use them all the time when I'm out west mule deer hunting or even like tree stand hunting. A lot of times I use this sling bringing my bow to and from my stand. It's just a really cool product that's integrated, made specifically for the bow. I can't praise it enough. They did a really good job on that. From there, we're gonna move on to the quiver. So this year I'm gonna be running the Mathews one-piece low pro detachable quiver. Typically in past years, I've run a two-piece fixed quiver because I like how it supports the arrow better from hood to grommet is further apart. And in a spot and stock environment, when you have that support spread apart farther, it supports your arrow nicer, the arrows stay on the bow a little bit nicer, they don't get flexed up in as you're moving around with stuff. But they redesigned their quivers this year, and this is gonna give me the same kind of support into that arrow, but it will give me the option to take the quiver off. And there are situations that call for that. Especially what comes to mind first would be like a heavy crosswind. You know, the less surface area you have on your bow, the less that bow is gonna be getting pulled side to side in your shot. So there are times where it's gonna be easy just to pop this guy off and be able to take a shot if, you know, something like that comes to play. So changing it up a little bit this year, going from a two-piece fixed to the one-piece detachable. Very good job, Mathews, on this guy. I really like this one. From there, we're gonna talk about sights a little bit. The last few years I've been running this black gold Ascent, kind of a custom order, bigger housing on it, which allows me to run a little bit bigger peep sight. And then I run it in the 4-pin slider, so I can shoot out to 50 without having to adjust anything. That's worked really well for me. I plan on probably using this sight again, but changing out this bracket once Black Gold has their new dovetail system to fit into the bridge lock riser. So in the meantime, we'll set that guy aside and we're gonna try out a 5-pin fixed pin sight. This is the Mathews bridge lock made by Excel. 5 pins, all .019, super micro adjustable. Everything on the sight's micro adjustable. Individual pin, up, down, side to side, all your adjustments for it. It's gonna plug right into the riser. We're gonna remove some of the side load or some of the weight off to the side of the bow to help balance everything better by doing that. So this will be the interim sight until those brackets come in from Black Gold. From there, for a rest, I will be running, we see kind of a theme here. It looks like we got a lot of Mathews products going on. I will be running the QAD Ultra Rest. This is their integrated rest. This is the Mathews logoed one. I have run this rest actually on my last 3 bows. I like the ability to click my rest up ahead of time in a hunting situation. There's less to go wrong in the heat of the moment without having to go through and felt up or rubberize your shelf pad and edge your riser and everything. So these have been pretty bulletproof. I've run the same one the last 3 seasons. I will be putting a new one on this bow, so we'll go through and get felt on it. And then I like to take shrink tubing and heat that over the pylons so that if your arrow does wobble side to side, you can't get any noise off of it. Integrates right onto the riser, clamps in place. Probably the most durable way to put a rest on a bow. It can't ever get pitched up or down. Sits completely flush up against that riser. So I've been running those for a few years, had very good luck with them. Plan on using that one again. From there, we got a little bit of a stabilizer situation going on. So I typically run 2 bars, front bar and back bar on all my hunting bows. Here we have a 10-inch Mathews flatline stabilizer and then an 8-inch Mathews flatline stabilizer, both in the subalpine color to match the limbs on that rig. I will be running a quick disconnect off of my front, and I just run a straight quick disconnect, not an angled one. With a 10-inch bar, it does not fit in any case out there. At least a smaller case that I prefer. So being able to take that on and off in an instant basically is really, really handy. And then I will be running the Mathews adjustable V-bar, which again, I've had this on my last couple bows. Very, very happy with it. When you tighten those brackets down into place, they do not move, they do not adjust. So again, in a Western style hunt or even like a tree stand hunt, if you're walking around a lot and you're carrying a lot of stuff, even with pressure applied on the side, that holds its position very, very well. You don't have to worry about it coming loose or anything like that. So that'll be what I run my back bar off of. Again, there's a quick disconnect built into that, so to be able to case it, a couple of turns and it's right back off to fit in the case very nicely. So those will be the accessories that we start with. Obviously we'll do a D-loop, peep sight, possibly like a kisser button or a nose button on it, and we'll go through that as we start building everything. So next time you see all these, they'll be on the bow. So we're gonna be starting with the Silent Connect system. It's just easy to put on right away before we get everything else on the bow, because you kind of got to twist the bow around. This is something that anyone can put on at home by themselves. Really, there's no wrong way to do it. They do have logos on them. So if you want them to, look correctly when they're on there, basically you just have to line it up so that the logos, as you're looking from the back of the bow, you can read both of them. Couple of screws that install in, and you just want to make sure you get those in there good and tight, just like that. So we got the Silent Connect system installed. Next we'll probably throw the Quiver on. So we'll throw this in the vise so we got a good spot to work. All right, next we'll be getting the Quiver installed on here. So I'm just gonna be grabbing the brackets to get started. We'll start with the bottom one. Lines up right into the machined hole into the riser, slides into place. Bolt comes from the other side, gets it clamped on tight. And then we got our top. Again, just bolt those guys down until they're extremely tight and ready to handle any abuse you throw at them. Just like that. And then we can actually take our Quiver right away, flip that bottom lever open, top drops in, and you kind of just got to make sure you get it pulled down all the way, slides into place. You can pull that lever back just like that. So now our Quiver is mounted on there nice and solid, but with the subalpine to kind of match the limb, since that's going to be up close to that region. And I like that. That sits really nice and flush to the bow. There's not a lot of gap there. There is still enough room that if a guy decided to do a sight that does not mount through the bridge lock portion, it is, as long as it's not like a dovetail style sight, any fixed pin will still be able to attach in there for the most part. All right, so next we'll be mounting our bridge lock style sight. Just tip the bow down here so it's a little bit easier to get at everything. I'm actually gonna start by threading this, the little set screw in by hand just to make sure it's lined up properly. I don't want to be cross threading that at all. So we're going to get that started just like that. And then we'll be able to plug that sight in directly through the riser, pop that off so we can get at it. Again, come at it with an Allen wrench. And then just verifying that as you snug this down, that it's in the dimple that's in the bracket for the sight. We get it in the same spot. That's nice and secure, not going anywhere. And we can pop that guy right back on. Just like so. So then we'll get the felt put onto the rest and get that mounted in, and then we'll start working on square with our D-loop, and we'll get our stabilizers probably put on here in the meantime also. Okay, so then next we'll be moving on to the stabilizers. With the front, we're gonna start by putting the quick disconnect on. If you ran a wrist sling, you would want to put that on first and hold it in place with the quick disconnect. 1/4 inch driver there. And we're gonna get that started up front. As we get close here, I'll hold that. I want that to come right out the top. And tighten that down into place, just like so. And then I'll be running the 10 out the front. So I'm just gonna run that onto the quick disconnect portion, get it started. Set that into place. All right, she's starting to come together here. So then we'll do the back bar next. And for a lefty, we gotta flip some of this stuff around here. So we might wanna pause for that. Okay, so we got the front bar on, then we'll be moving to the back bar. Again, just a few bolts. Then the big thing is getting this positioned after you have everything else set up. So I usually go through and kind of set my bars as I'm shooting the bow to work on getting it to hold level and balance correctly, just for how I hold a bow and my grip and everything. So we're gonna get that guy started by hand, and then we'll come in and tighten it up really good with the big wrench here. I'm just gonna make sure I got that on there pretty square. We don't want that guy to come loose at all. So we'll start with it there, and then we'll go through and work on getting these positioned up and down, and then also side to side, so that everything holds level and holds stable for me. The nice thing is they do have all these hash marks on here, so as you adjust it, if you decide you want it a little lower or a little higher, if you all of a sudden move it a whole bunch, you can kind of go back to whatever marks you had it on for up and down. And then they also have the same marks for side to side up here. So as I rotate that out or in to offset the weight of my quiver and my arrows and my grip, I can get that thing moved just a little bit at a time. We'll get that snug down. And then if we want to make it nice and pretty, we can get these guys adjusted just by rotating those. I got a little set screw that holds them in place. And then we can adjust this one over. And that's something you can play with a little bit to move these dampeners differently. You can rotate those one way or the other. I'm just gonna start them with the Mathews logos going up so that they look good. We're just gonna get the felt installed on here. This is stuff that we all take care of, like up in the shop for you guys. That way it's all ready to rumble right out of the get-go. So typically we're gonna run felt off the bottom, and then we'll go up the pylons also. And then in the shop, we like to use a like a heat shrink tube that goes down over your pylons and holds all your felt in place. That also kind of gives you more of a rubberized coating on the interior and exterior here. Just again, less noise to make, less to go wrong in the heat of the moment. All right, so just gotta loosen up that internal mounting block. And then we're gonna start with it in the middle position. There's a little groove inside of the riser here. So we're gonna start with it right there. And then depending on your arrow diameter, obviously you can adjust the rest up and down to get everything squared off. We'll start in the middle and see which way we end up needing to go. That relatively snug. And then we just gotta drop the exterior clamp on, wrench in through there. Get that one tight. There we go. So So now our rest is on. You can see there. I do like to typically work the rest a few times just to make sure everything is correct before we go through and tie it in. That all feels really good, feels like it's supposed to. So then we'll start by putting the rest up, grabbing an arrow, or start with a square, make a mark, and then we'll grab an arrow and move it up and down from there to get everything positioned through the center of that burger hole or maybe through the upper half. Okay, so we're gonna start by getting the loop started here. We're just gonna melt out one end of that. What I personally do when I'm setting bows up, I get the loop started, put half of it on, and work on square with the actual arrow that I'm gonna be using. And then while we got it in the press, I'm gonna put the cable through for the drop away. So I prefer to give just the most secure attachment possible. So if we go through the cable twice, we'll give that a hot second to dry here. Okay, so I'm gonna be setting this up to a RIP TKO. That's arrow I've been shooting for a couple of years. On the lighter side, which is something that I like. Still a decent FOC. The way I have these set up and cut and fletched for myself with inserts and tips and everything, I'm right about a 12% FOC, about 430 grains total arrow weight, which I really like. I'm chasing all deer-sized game, nothing bigger than that, so I like to have that relatively flat trajectory. It's still a good amount of weight. I shot 2 bucks last year, both are full pass-throughs, sticking in the dirt on the other side. So, been working really good for me over the last couple years. I'm basically just gonna pull the bow out of the press here, knock an arrow on, and see how square we are off of the square. Okay, so we're looking dang good there right off of the start, right where my mark was. So we're just gonna get started with this guy, kind of pinch it in there a little, and then we're gonna come through and really seat that down into place. Start right about there on the shorter side of things. I can always really give it the beans to stretch it in there. So then at this point, we're gonna take this out of the press, get into the draw board. So we're just gonna draw this guy back in the draw board, verify that our cam timing is good. So here we're gonna do, come down, and I'm just watching to make sure that the modules are both hitting at the same time, and they're almost perfect right now. So at this point, what we're gonna do is basically start shooting the bow a little bit. As we get started here, we're gonna have just a little bit of break in so I can get a few shots through it while we're shooting it through paper to verify that all that's coming out clean. And this is the same thing that we're gonna do with every customer's bow that comes through the shop. We're double checking cam time before we even get things going. We're paper tuning the bow. You know, if you're downrange and we see some flight issues, we're gonna paper tune it right to you right out of the get-go also. So every ounce of care that goes into me building my own bow is the same way that I would treat your bow if you're coming into one of our shops. So at this point, we're ready to start shooting the bow through paper. We know the cam timing's on. We know we're square right out of the get-go. So we're gonna see what the bow does through paper, shoot a couple arrows at a time before we make any adjustment. And at this point, I'm also kind of gonna be working on that peep sight, just getting it close to where I need it for where I anchor the bow and everything. Pretty close right out of the get-go. I like that. It's first shot. So far, I like it. It's pretty consistent the whole way through. We're not getting anything major. We'll inspect them a little bit. Looks like we're getting just a little bit of a tail movement here yet. Okay, we'll set that down. Yeah, so we're getting just a little bit of knock right, pretty much on all of them. So I think I'm gonna probably shim one of those cams over just a little bit. Okay, so we got a little tail right out of our first group. So I shimmed just the bottom cam to get started out here. Obviously the bow is sitting on its own here. One thing I didn't mention earlier, Mathews limb legs is something I definitely run. For just shooting around the yard, but also like turkey season and all that kind of stuff. Just nice to be able to set the bow down. So we got her adjusted a little bit here. We'll send a couple more and see if that cleans it up. Definitely better right out of the get-go. Yeah, I'm not seeing any left and right movement now. Maybe just a tick of up and down. That could be just as we break in the string and cables here too, we're gonna get a little bit of stretch. Okay. That's pretty much all just the vane. These other two are looking really, really clean. So I really like that. I think that's a good starting point, and we'll just start getting on the range, working on the peep sight and getting it sighted in. Okay, so we're gonna start sight in process. The peep sight felt pretty good when we were shooting at just a couple of feet there. But now we're gonna start shooting a little bit farther down. I wanna make sure I get my peep height set where I want it, and then also just kind of check to see where we're at with our pin. I have a feeling this is gonna have to come down a little bit before we start. Okay. Okay, so for speed test here, what we're gonna do, I shoot a 28-inch draw length. I also have mods for 28.5, but after shooting it just a few times at 28, I can tell it's right on the money for where I like to anchor. Feels really good, feels like my shoulders are lining up the way they're supposed to. So we're at a 28-inch draw length, 70-pound bow, it's maxed out, so I didn't actually scale it, but it's probably pulling like 72 or 73. Arrow is a Rip TKO 300 spine from Victory Archery, 50 grain insert, 100 grain tip, 3 fletch with a boning shield cut X vein. Total arrow weight comes in at like 434 grains, and we'll just see what she does for speed. Again, I am not expecting this bow to be a speed demon by any means, but we'll see what she does here. Probably should have started down here. 286, so I'm actually really happy with that. I thought it was gonna be a little bit slower than that. I typically, if I can be kind of in that high 280s, typically you get really good arrow flight out of any kind of broadhead. So I kind of dig that, and it's really, really easy to draw. .284. 287. 286, so yeah, 286, 286 and a half, 287. Pretty consistent across the board, so that's kind of right about where I was hoping I would be. It's actually a little faster than what I thought it was gonna be. I thought I'd be like low 280s with everything. I'll probably lose a couple feet per second because I am gonna take off these monkey tails and throw on a little bit different string silencer just for looks more than anything. So speed's sweet, I like that. I'm sure if a guy ran a little lighter arrow or a little heavier arrow, obviously it's gonna affect your speed one way or the other. All right, everybody, so I hope you enjoyed that bow build. Again, it's a little backwards, it's a left-handed bow. I know most of y'all are righties probably, but just to run over everything, we have a left-handed Mathews V3X 33, granite riser, subalpine limbs, subalpine accessories as far as the quiver and the stabilizers and whatnot go. I really like how those colors turned out together. I think it's pretty sharp, not too bright and flashy, but just something a little bit different. Stay tuned to the channel. We have a bunch more bow builds coming from different makes, different models, different guys in the shop. So don't be afraid to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, feel free to leave us a comment. Let us know what you want to see. It'll help us going forward so that we can get relevant information out to what everybody wants to know. Spec-wise, one more time, 28-inch draw length at 70 pounds. With the high let-off mod, so it's 85% let-off mods in it. It's like 286, 287 pretty consistently, and that is with a 434 grain Rip TKO arrow for total arrow weight. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.